Right. Yeah. It's because.
Good afternoon and welcome to you all. My name is Christine Souders. I'm the Dean for Admission and Financial Aid, and we are absolutely delighted to have all of you here with us today. We've got a very full program of events in the next 2 days, panels, lots and lots of information for you, lots of different types of activities, all designed to give you an idea about what life is like here at Columbia Journalism School, and all of which we hope that you'll enjoy. We invite you to take the time to talk with all of us, with students, with faculty, with staff, with alumni who might be here, explore the building, explore the Columbia campus. We promise that there is going to be better weather tomorrow. And you will see the campus then in all its glory, springtime glory. This is the warmest weather that we've had since November, so thank you for bringing it with you. And also take some time to just walk around the neighborhood, Broadway, Morningside Heights, walk over to Riverside Park if you have a chance. You can visit Grant's tomb. Ulysses S. Grant and his wife Julia are buried just about 4 blocks from here, which I know is often a surprise to people. Think a little bit about, as you look around the campus and you walk out on Broadway, you know, Broadway was once an Indian trail, and then during colonial times it was called the Albany Post Road because it ran all the way from Lower Manhattan up to Albany. And it had several different names, and before the university was located here, there was a decisive battle of the American Revolutionary War that was fought right here around the campus in this area. So this is not just a university, not just a neighborhood, it's also a very historic area of Manhattan. And so we invite you just to take some time to look at all of the different things here in the neighborhood. I would also like to, as I said, welcome you here to the campus. I'd like to welcome those who are watching on our live stream. We're very sorry that you can't be here with us, but we will be live streaming many, many parts of the open house, and we invite you, if you can, to watch different pieces. All of this will also be archived on the Journalism School website, so that if there are sessions that you miss, things that you would like to listen to again, you'll be able to do that. Now I'd like to just talk with you a little bit about who you are from what we know about your applications. Columbia Journalism students are really an extraordinary group. We received over 900 applications last year for our 4 degree programs. And in the full-time Master of Science, which is our largest degree program, we have people who come from 32 states in the District of Columbia. The states that are most well represented are New York, California, New Jersey, Texas, Massachusetts, Florida, and Maryland. That is a list that does shift. 40% of the class, of the MS class, is international students, so coming from outside of the United States, with the largest groups hailing from the United Kingdom, from India, from Canada, from China, France, and from Colombia. This year, 70% of the MS class are female, 30% are male. Those of you in the MA class, you'll find that 40% 43% are men, and 57% are women, and half of that class comes from outside the United States. I know that we also have 4 doctoral students. They're off, I think, in a different part of the building right now with our faculty and with our doctoral students. 1 is male, 3 are female, and all of them this year come from the United States. In our dual degree program with computer science at the engineering school, we admitted 14 students. 9 are women, and 5 are male, and 7 are international students. The Columbia Journalism School has a long and rich history of training the best journalists in the world and hosting journalism's most prestigious prizes. Joseph Pulitzer wrote, "A journalist is the lookout on the bridge of the ship of state. The power to mold the future of the republic will be in the hands of journalists of future generations." These words resonate just as much now as they did nearly 100 years ago. And as the school moves forward, as each new class comes in to become a part of the Columbia Journalism School family, we all embrace the challenges and the opportunities that are ahead of us in journalism, and we absolutely invite all of you to become a part of this very, very exciting legacy. Before I introduce you to Dean Sheila Coronel, who's sitting to my left, I wanted to, since I have everybody in the same room right now, I wanted to take a couple of minutes to cover a few housekeeping details. After we finish here, we will break out into smaller sessions for curriculum information, where you'll be able to get more details about the curriculum for each program. There will also be student panels, and so we invite you to take advantage of all of those. We'll also be, at the very end of all of our sessions today, we'll be having several things that you are invited to take part in. One is a film festival, which is here, part of our Friday film series, and Dean Coronel will talk a little bit more about that, but that will take place in this room this evening after we're finished here. You're also invited to a reception at Bernheim and Schwartz, which is a restaurant that's just across Broadway and down a block, just for some light refreshments, some time to get to know each other informally. I know that many of you have already been communicating on the class Facebook pages, both on the general class Facebook page as well as the part-time student class Facebook page. This is a time for you all to begin to get to know each other in person. And then our SPJ student group also invites everybody later this evening to join them at the Lion's Heads Tavern, and that information is in your program, in this program. But that'll give you also a chance to talk informally with current students, get some more information from them, find out what really happens here, besides what we've been telling you as you've gone through the application process. But in any case, I would like to welcome you once again. We're delighted that you're here. We're happy to answer your questions. And I'm going to turn things over now to Dean Sheila Coronel. Sheila.
Thank you, Christine. I think I want to come closer to you so you can see me better. I'll move over there. Welcome, everyone. I'm Sheila Coronel. I'm Dean of Academic Affairs. I'm also Director of the Stabile Center for Investigative Journalism, for those of you who are in the Investigative Journalism program. It's nice to see, thank you. It's nice to see so many of you here. I just want to take a survey. Let's get some sense of who are here. How many among you are in the full-time journalism program? Full-time? Okay, full-time MS journalism? Great. How many are in the MA journalism class? Fantastic. How many are in the part-time class? Great. That's quite a number. How many are in the dual degree programs? That's CIPA, dual degree, computer science, dual degree, law, dual degree, none, religion, dual degree. Oh, there's someone up there. Welcome. How many are night budget, incoming night budget fellows? No one. So, so how many are in the data program? This is our newest program. Starting this year, we're offering a concentration in data journalism. And there's 1, 2. Yeah, I guess there's 2 people. And how many in the documentary program? Quite a number. Wow, welcome. And the Stabil program, I think I met most of you this afternoon, so great. You'll be seeing more of me in the coming years. In the coming years, no, in the coming year. I hope you'll only be here 1 year. How many came from overseas today? Oh, fantastic. You keep raising your hand. Where are you from? Wow, you've come a long way. And is there someone else who's come from overseas here? Yes. Australia? Yeah? Mexico? I think you have come farthest. They should give you a free drink from... And who else was? Yes. Italy and Israel. So welcome everyone. Who among you here are not newly admitted students but just came along for the ride? All right, so welcome, welcome as well. I'm sure some of your parents, loved ones, siblings, good friends, assorted acquaintances. All right, how many of you have journalism experience? That's fabulous. That's quite a number. How many of you were wise enough not to go to journalism before coming to the journalism school? Just kidding. Just kidding. That's great. How many of you, my last question, how many of you believe that journalism is the best job in the world? Not unanimous. I'm disappointed, and I think the parents didn't raise their hands. It is the best job in the world. And you will discover that when you come to the Columbia Journalism School. And we are, by the way, the best journalism school in the world. But don't take my word for it. You should fact check it. Check it out. But we believe we are, and you tell us. Our students will tell you so. Our alumni will tell you so. Our distinguished roster of people who've been to the journalism school and are now leading news organizations around the world will tell you Columbia is the best for many reasons. One is you are doing journalism in one of the greatest cities in the world. I will not say it's the greatest city because many of you come from overseas. In one of the greatest cities of the world, and certainly the media capital of the world. So there is no better place to learn how to do journalism than New York City. No better city than to experiment, than to get to know, than to explore the complexities of doing journalism in this challenging age than New York City, because New York City has everything. This is a microcosm of all the problems and challenges and issues that are being debated around the world. There's a counterpart here in New York City. And you will be doing a lot of your journalism in New York City, but also outside. This is a global city. You are in a global university. The other virtue of being in the Columbia Journalism School is you are in the middle of this vibrant university with all its resources, with its world-class teaching faculty, a wonderful library, which I hope some of you will get to explore. It's wonderful architecturally, but it also has immense resources. Just go online and see how fabulous it is. Apart from that, this university has faculties in just about every imaginable discipline, and I hope you'll be able to take advantage of our great faculty, but also of the many events that happen here at Columbia. Just go to the events page of the Columbia University website, and it's a dizzying array. Every October, we bring here some of the leaders of the world. They come here for the General Assembly of the United Nations. which is also in New York, in case you didn't know. But many of them end up speaking here and saying controversial, mostly boring, but sometimes interesting things. A couple of weeks ago, the president of Afghanistan was here. I was just going to get coffee. One tip, the coffee in this building is bad. So I go elsewhere in the university, the business school, and that new building in the northwest corner. They have the better coffee than you will get here. But I couldn't get back because they had closed off that entire section because the president of Afghanistan was coming, and I was 5 minutes late for my class. So we are a 103 years old now, as not me. The school, the school is 103 years old. This is Joseph Pulitzer School. Joseph Pulitzer endowed the school, endowed the Pulitzer Prizes, which will be announced in a couple of weeks. If you want to stick around, we'll make the announcements here in the World Room, which is across the hall. It's named after Pulitzer's newspaper. And we make this very low-key announcement, and everybody is running off and opening bottles of champagne. The others are weeping in the... but it's a great low-key event, and if you're here in April, you should go to it. The first class here in 1912 is very different from the faces I see here. To begin with, there were only 12 women then. Today, most of our students are women. Many of the students came mainly from New York City and from the Northeast. A few came from the South and Midwest of the United States. Now our students come from everywhere. This year, I believe they're from 47 countries around the world. So this is a great place to meet the world, because this is where the world's aspiring and best journalists go. We've made changes in our curriculum. If in case you hadn't noticed, the journalism industry is changing so fast. And every year, we try to be responsive to what is going on outside. We offer new courses, but 2 years ago, we changed our curriculum, removing the concentrations are based on platforms. So in the past, not too long ago, we had concentrations based on print. You could opt to be a print concentrator, a broadcast concentrator, or a digital media concentrator. Those platform concentrations, we believe, no longer work, because everywhere you are multimedia, you are multi-platform. So the removal of the concentrations allow our students to have much more flexibility in their choices of classes. So you can come to Columbia and you can come to the Jschool and take literary journalism and video journalism at the same time. You can opt for data journalism or science journalism. You have so many choices, and your curriculum allows you more flexibility. We also added new classes to our curriculum, including a required audience and engagement class, during which you will learn how to interact with audiences, how to engage them, how to use social media to reach them, how to use social media to report, and how to learn how to do compelling journalism that will have readers. We are already planning our classes for next spring. I have sort of a list, and just to give you an idea of the variety of classes that we offer here. It's so amazing. It's like, one of these buffet tables that you don't know where to start, whether you'll start from the dessert, the main course, because you want to eat it all. Just to give you a list. So we have a class called the Book Writing Seminar, where those of you who are interested in books can go to that class and learn, and you end up with a 100-page book proposal. And many books, several dozen books, have been published from that class, taught by Professor Sam Friedman. We have a covering religion class, which goes every year. This year they went to India to report on issues related to religion. We have multimedia storytelling, which is self-explanatory. We have a class on interviewing. We have a class on covering China. We have a class on covering education. We have a data visualization class. We have a class in journalistic computing. our dean teaches a class called Reporting on Armies and Spies. It's national security reporting. We have a class called Investigating with Data Across Borders. This is investigative reporting using data in the international context. We have a class called Managing the 21st Century Newsroom. These are for you who want to be setting up your own news organizations. Any one of you interested in doing that? Being your own publisher someday? Or maybe not so long ago? Yes, fantastic. So that class, half of the students in that class want to set up their own news organizations. The other half want to be managers. They want to manage newsrooms. So it's an amazing class. I sat in one of their classes not too long ago, and it's just fantastic what they're learning there. We have a class on business reporting and investigating companies. We have a class on deadline writing. We have a class on interactive design. So for those of you who are interested in design aspects of reporting, we have something. I won't go down this list because it's too much. There's narrative reporting, there's sports journalism, there's visual storytelling, there's a class on covering politics. So you have so much choice. And the sad thing is you can only take a few of these classes. But we have so much to offer you, and you can learn from other of your classmates who've been to these classes. You will have a full year. We have a 10-month program. We start with an August boot camp. We'll talk more about our curriculum in later. But for the MS, it's a 10-month, very intense year. And for all the rest, it's intense nonetheless. So I suggest you catch up on your sleep before you come here in August, because you'll not be sleeping very much. Today was the day the STABIL, the Investigative Students Master's projects, were submitted. And I was up with my students till about midnight, and I was up again at 7:30. The deadline was at 10 a.m. And so they met it, but it required not just one day, but several days of not having very much sleep. So if you still want to go to the journalism school, despite that, if I haven't scared you enough, you will have the best time of your life. It's going to be intense, it's going to be packed, but it's going to be a memorable year. As one of our students said during her graduation from the documentary program last year, it's the best year of your life that you'd rather not live through again. So I will end with that. I can take a few questions before letting you go, if there are any.
And if you have questions, please come to the microphones that are in the side aisles, so that the people who are on the live stream can hear the questions as well.
Questions? Yes.
Is there a place to look at student reviews of these classes?
Is there a place to look at student reviews? Melanie? Yes. Do you know what the URL is? It's on coursework. So once you've paid your tuition. Yes. We don't allow anyone to look at the reviews, right? Because these are private reviews. These are reviews of our faculty. So only students who are enrolled can see those reviews. So yes, you will have transparency in your choices. You will know which classes have been rated well by other students, which ones have not. Yes. And if you're looking beyond entering the school into jobs, for example, no questions about jobs? Because I have an answer.
Come on, make her work.
Yes.
So about jobs.
Yes. Yeah.
How exactly does professor-student mentoring work as for internships or getting a job right after graduation?
So we're a very high-touch school. Our classes are small. They're typically 15 or 16 students. And we have our career services department that helps students almost from the beginning of the school year think about life after journalism school. 2 weeks ago, was it 2 weeks ago? Yes, we had the biggest journalism career fair in probably the world. We had, how many, Ernie? 120? 146 companies Yes, and 300 recruiters coming here. It was like speed dating. That in that building across the street, the recruiters sat around in tables, and the students went one by one, and they talked to them. Each student got 10, 15 minutes with the recruiter. They're set up in advance. Our career services folks help you write up your resume. They help you write your application letters. They help you think about your career options. We have exclusive internships just for our students in some news organizations, but our students typically get internships in the broad range of organizations that make up 21st century media. These include, the big ones, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, ABC, NBC, all the big networks. We have an exclusive fellowship with Frontline, which is the showcase documentary program of PBS. We have an exclusive internship with BuzzFeed. You guys know what BuzzFeed is? Oh. Of course you do. We have 2 exclusive internships, one in their investigative unit and another in their data unit at BuzzFeed. Do we have other exclusive internships, Ernie? Yes. CNN, I know, Al Jazeera, yeah, they're all here. So aside from that, we have overseas organizations or international organizations. Many of our students end up working for the wire services, Reuters, AP, Bloomberg. A lot of them end up overseas. We have recruiters also from overseas. We have exclusive internships with Clarín in Argentina and Mint in India. So we have internships in financial newspapers. And what is it that Julie mentioned? The Dodo News, right? Which is, it's about environment and species that are about to go extinct. So we had the whole range from Dodo News to the New York Times recruiters. So there's a lot. We take a great deal of effort to ensure that our students have the best job opportunities that are available to them. Yeah. Yes. Yes, you have to go to the mic. You have to walk, yes, to the microphone.
Sorry, I thought.
Yes, you can come up too so that we can have it fast. And why don't you just come up? Yeah.
Okay. I was wondering, for international students who are dependent on a visa to continue doing journalism in the United States, what opportunities do Columbia offer specifically, or what ways does Columbia help versus other schools?
We have a 1 year, it's called an OPT, right? What does OPT mean? Optional practical training. So you can apply for that, and everybody gets that. You have 1 year to do that, and a lot of our international students get the OPT to be able to avail themselves of internships or jobs after graduation. What you do after that is your own effort. Yeah. Yes, please.
Going off on the jobs topic, do you have any statistics on the number of students who are offered jobs upon graduating?
Ernie, do we have the statistics on? Ernie Sotomayor is our Dean of Students. He's the keeper of the job statistics.
It has been around 75%. We have information on the websites. Also, it shows you the companies that have been hiring our students year by year. That number has grown steadily for the last 10 years. It's covered around 75%.
So 75% have internships or job offers or fellowships with news companies after graduation.
You'll also find this year's list of companies that were here to interview students in your packets.
And we'll have a presentation tomorrow. We're will be
Yes.
and she will talk more about the kind of opportunities. We offer a video.
Right. So we will have more of this tomorrow. So from a person who knows about this much more than I do. Yes.
So you talked a little bit about internships, and with the program being so intense and with it not really being a summer period off because it's 1 year, when do students typically do their internships or find time?
They did
for
in
them?
the summer.
In the summer, so after they graduate. they
After
do-
graduation, yes. Yeah. You asked a question. Yeah. Yes.
I wanted to ask about the dual degrees and how do you integrate students who applied and who were offered the admission for dual degrees.
Dual degree in what?
In religion, in my case, for example,
Uh-huh.
or in any other. How do you integrate these two programs?
Yes, Melanie, yeah.
Melanie, could you come up to the mic?
Okay, so the dual degree with computer science is unique in that that one is blended throughout. So students in that program take classes at both departments, computer science and journalism, each of their 4 semesters that they're enrolled. For all the other dual degrees, and that would be religion, CEPA, business, and the law school, your time at the journalism school is identical to everyone else's time at the journalism school. So when you're in residency here, you do the journalism school requirements. You are not able to do any of the requirements for the other program while you're in residency here. And you are not, when you're in residency there, allowed to do any of the requirements for this program. The journalism school does not give you any credit for the classes you take at the other schools in terms of the length of time that you're here. Some of those other programs do count some of the journalism classes towards the credit accumulation. And that's basically how the dual degrees work. They are not particularly blended programs with the exception of the computer science program. Any more questions on that?
And just so you all know, this is Dean Melanie Huff. She is our Associate Dean of Students. You'll hear a lot from her. When you start getting emails about immunizations, about registration,
Yes.
that's who they're coming from.
Okay, last question.
Hi, I have a question specific to the part-time students doing MS. I was wondering, since we have a little bit of free time, could we file stories? I mean, like, can we work freelance? Do you guys help with
Oh
that
yeah, you
as
can
well?
work. I mean,
Like
part-time
the stories
students
we
work.
file here,
Yes.
or the work we do here, the reporting here, we could try and freelance.
Yes, yeah.
and get that.
But I would talk with your instructor and, yes,
Right.
you can use classwork and pitch it. In fact, we encourage students to pitch their classwork to news organizations and get them published. But yes,
Okay.
yeah, you can do
And
that.
you'll be able to meet a little bit later this afternoon with Elena Cabral, who is the head of the part-time program, and she'll be able to give you more information about that.
But that's actually true for everybody. You can pitch the stories you do in the classroom, pitch them for publication. That's well within, what we encourage you to do. Yeah. So we will see more of each other, whether you like it or not, in the coming months, if you decide to come to the journalism schools. So for now, this is just a quick taste and a brief welcome to the most exciting job in the world at the most exciting time for doing journalism, I believe. So see you, and if you have any questions, feel free to get in touch with me. I'm at scoronel, SCORONEL, @columbia.edu, and I promise to answer your email. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, by the way, this film tonight, I encourage you, especially those in the Stabile and documentary program, we are showing Going Clear. It's a documentary by Alex Gibney. It's a book. It's based on the book by Lawrence Wright, a preeminent journalist. It's about Scientology, and I haven't seen it, but I've read the reviews, and it's an amazing journalistic documentary account of the Church of Scientology. The film showing will be at 6:30, and at 8:45, the director, Alex Gibney, will be here. And after that, you can join in the drinks and the party at Bernheim.
Right,
Yeah,
at
across the
Bernheim and
street.
Schwartz. We'll be
Yeah.
there until 8:30.
Yeah.
Okay, what I would like is for those of you who are in the MS program, whether full or part-time, to remain right here in this room. Definitely stand up and stretch. We know it's a lot of information. Those of you who are MA students, who's taking the MA students to the Stabile Center? Taryn Almanzar, our Director of Financial Aid and Admissions. Taryn, wave your hand around again, please. There in the back, those of you who are MA students, if you would go with Taryn, she'll take you down to the Stabile Center where you'll be meeting with MA folks. I'm going to invite Elena, Giannina, and Howard French to come on up. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started again. And what I would like to do, this session is going to be about the Master of Science program. We'll be talking about curriculum, both for the full and part-time students. We'll be talking about the different specializations that are available in the program, as well as the general MS program. But before we start with those things, what I would like to do is introduce you to our speakers, who I'm delighted are here. Elena Cabral, all the way to my left, who is the director of the part-time program. She also wears a hat in the Career Services Office and teaches in the program as well. Next to her is Giannina Segnini, who is the head of the data journalism program, our new data journalism program here at the Jschool. And then immediately to my left is Laura Muha, who is our Associate Dean for Faculty Affairs. She also teaches in the program. I'm going to ask each of them, starting with Elena, just to tell you a little bit about themselves and how they came to the journalism school. And then Laura, I'm going to ask you, after you've all introduced yourselves, to talk sort of generally about the curriculum, and then we'll get into some of the specializations. So, Elena.
Great, hello. I was delighted to meet some of you just now in the office hours, but also over the course of the application period, and feel like we have a very strong pool here, and I'm glad to see that you all are very seriously considering us. I am also a graduate of this program myself. I graduated in 1999. I did the part-time program, and went on to work for the Miami Herald, a job that I got through Career Services, which sort of makes sense that I'm now in that team as well. I feel like I get to know the full life cycle of journalism students from the moment they get here to the moment they go out into the job market. And I've taught a number of classes here. Some of the other things that I do here include posting student work to our website, one of our many websites, but this one sort of is a curation of all different classes. It's called columbiajournalist.org. And I'm also the faculty advisor to one of many affinity groups here. This one in particular is a university chapter of the National Association of Hispanic Journalists. So we have a lot going on in this building. That goes far beyond the classroom, and so I hope that you're getting familiar with those in the course of these 2 days, because it's very much a part of the community that you will become part of.
Hello, everybody. My name is Janina Segnini. Welcome to the school. I'm an investigative journalist from Costa Rica. I joined the school last year. This is my first year in the school. Before that, I was leading a team of investigative journalists and developers back in Costa Rica. We were doing full-time investigations from local stories to collaborations with organizations such as ICIJ, the Consortium of Investigative Journalists. I love to work, I love teamwork, and that's, I think, something really important, not just for investigative journalism, but in general, for the challenges we're facing today. So I'm really focused now on teaching how to adapt all the technology skills to journalism to improve our reporting. I'm currently teaching a class that is called Using Data to Investigate Across Borders, in which we combine these powerful elements, these three powerful elements, data, global data, investigative journalism, and a global mindset to investigate across borders.
Okay, welcome. I'm Laura Muha. I'm the Associate Dean of Academic Affairs, and I oversee faculty and curriculum. I've been at the school since 1995. I have a newspaper background, and I started covering a police beat in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and moved up. I worked for Newsday on Long Island for a long time. I did a local beat like every other junior reporter there. Moved on to general assignment and eventually to the features desk. And from there, I did a lot of magazine freelancing. And my specialty was public health and science for the most part. And I came to the journalism school just because, this career has been wonderful to me. And I can't think of anything that I'd rather do. I mean, more years than I'm going to admit to later. I just still can't imagine doing anything else. I got into journalism because truly, I come from a family where my father has known since he was 8 years old what he wanted to do with his life. And when I was a junior in college, I decided that he was going to make my life a living hell that summer if I didn't come up with a feasible plan. So I thought, well, you know, they tell me I can write, and, you know, maybe a newspaper reporter, you'd get exposed to a lot of different things. And if I do that, you know, maybe I'll find out what I really want to do. And I got a job at a weekly that summer for $50 a week, and I'm happy to tell you the pay has gone up at least somewhat since then. And I mean, literally from my very first story, I knew this was it. And so after a number of years, I just thought, this has been so wonderful to me, I'd like to give back, and came as an adjunct in 1995, and I never left, and now I'm the associate dean. Christine asked me to talk a little bit about our curriculum, and I'm trying to decide if I want to pull up a link, which is going to involve opening my email on a big screen, which I'd sort of rather not do. But basically, the MS curriculum has undergone some structural changes in the past couple of years. But fundamentally, you know, everyone is talking about how much journalism is changing and journalism is changing. Well, yes, journalism is changing, but in many fundamental ways, journalism is not changing. It's still really, really important, and stories are still stories. You may go at them a little differently in terms of how you gather information and how you put them out there, but the reporting, which is the absolute bedrock of everything we do here, is still exactly what it's always been. Okay. Basically, you can think of your year as divided into 3 parts. The first part is August. You guys, this year's class will start, let's see, you start coursework on the 10th, which is a Monday, so you come the Wednesday or Thursday before that. The international students come Wednesday, everyone else comes Thursday for opening day. So opening day is August 6th. And then you spend the month basically beginning to experiment with some of the tools that you'll use as reporters, as 21st century reporters. You get some intensive training in audio, some intensive training in photo. If you're a part-time student, by the way, and I don't mean to leave you guys out, you'll do some of that training at the front end, and Elena will talk. I'm going to give you an overview of the program. Elena, when she meet separately with the part-timers, will tell you your flow is a little bit different, but you're getting all the same elements. So in August, you're getting a bit of photo training, a bit of audio training, and you're beginning to meet with your reporting instructors and just getting to know the city and just kind of getting used to getting out there and answering some questions, or excuse me, asking questions and getting answers and beginning to figure out how to package them for an audience. After Labor Day, classes begin in earnest, and the first 7 weeks of the semester, Okay, yeah, it was just there. The first 7 weeks of the semester, you're taking essentially two different classes. You're taking your reporting module, and 4 days out of your week are devoted to that. You are not in class 4 days a week, but you have 4 days set aside for the class seminar and the reporting assignments associated with that. And on Friday, all students take, the official name is Journalism Essentials. We sort of in-house refer to it as the 4-pack. And those are law, history, ethics, and the changing business of journalism. Each of them are 7-week modules. You don't take them all at once. You take 2 at a time, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and then at the halfway mark, you switch and take whichever 2 you haven't taken. Okay, so Fridays throughout the semester, that continues, Journalism Essentials. However, at the halfway mark of the semester, we have a week we call Master's Week. And that's where you guys will begin to dig in on the reporting for your master's project. Your master's project is your capstone project. I guess you could call it sort of an independent study in that you're working one-on-one with an advisor. Your advisor may call some group meetings with other students he or she is advising, but mostly you're working on that on your own. So we give you a week there to begin to dig in, and we do some technical training also during that week for the second half of the semester. And I mentioned that it's not oh great, I've got a week off, I can go home week. It really is meant, you need this time. And then in the second half of the semester, as you can see, can you scroll up just a little? Everybody takes 2 classes. Each of those classes meets only once a week. Everybody takes a written word module, essentially. There are many different flavors. If you're interested in long form, we have written word classes that focus on long form. We have deadline reporting. We have a writing for the ear class, which we strongly recommend to students interested in broadcast, whether audio or video. So there are many different options. Those classes meet an average of 3 hours once a week. And everyone will take what we call an image and sound module, and there are 4 options there. You can take a video class, you can take an audio class, you can take a data class, or you can take a photojournalism class. Each of those meets one day or once a week, and the amount of time that it meets will vary depending on the classes. The video classes tend to be all-day classes. I mean, video is quite intense. It's a difficult skill to pick up. The other classes tend to vary. They may be 3 hours, 4 hours, something like that. And then the rest of the time is for you to complete the assignments for those classes. And then on Friday, you can continue your 4-pack classes. I didn't diagram the spring semester because it's harder to diagram. Everybody's spring semester will look a little different. There is, as you can see, some ability to customize in the fall. But in the spring, you really begin to, that's when you can really customize your schedule and begin to really specialize. Sheila Coronel gave you some examples of the sorts of classes that we offer. Some of them are one-day classes, some of them are 2-day classes. For instance, if you're interested in a production class like our nightly news class or our city newsroom class, you know, you're meeting in a group, but you know, there's a production day associated with it when you're filming in terms of the nightly news class. There's a show associated with it some weeks, so you know it's a little harder to map the second semester. But essentially, in the second semester, everybody takes 2 15-week classes, and you take a class called Audience and Engagement, which Sheila also mentioned. That class is 7 weeks. It's associated with one of your spring classes. So and the point of the class is that it's no longer as simple as working for a news organization. I mean, when you and I were in the newsroom, we would go out and do our reporting, produce our stories, hand them in, and go home. And our editors would worry about placement, and the marketing department would worry about the audience. Now it's no longer enough for you to do that. You really have to start thinking about how are you going to bring an audience to your story. You have some personal responsibility in that. So there is a 7-week module in the spring that will be associated with one of the classes that you'll take. So for instance, the nightly news class is going to worry about how do we build an audience for what we're doing. The magazine class, same thing. So that's what your spring looks like, and you're finishing up your master's projects. And as Sheila said, most students, the master's projects are done at the end of spring break. The Stabile students turned theirs in today, and if you've seen any of them, they're just walking around looking dazed and like deliriously happy. And had you been here at the end of spring break, you would have seen the regular MS students looking exactly the same way. So that's the spring semester, and I'm happy to answer any other questions.
Thanks very much, Laura. We'll stop just right now for a couple of minutes, just in case there are questions. And again, I invite you to use the microphones in the aisles so that the people who are following the live stream are able to hear the questions as well. Yes.
Sorry, maybe I missed this, but on the schedule it said that it started in September. So what would the month of August look like?
I didn't map out August. August is sort of, every class has a sort of an individual schedule, but basically think of it this way, and I'm going to think of yourself as having about a week's worth of audio training. Okay, and not everybody will have it all at the same time. So you'll get about a week's worth of training as to how to use the equipment associated with audio, of course, but also about how do you tell stories? How does sound contribute to a story? So you've got about a week's worth of that. You've got a little more than a week's worth of photo training, which is also, for those of you interested in video, it's the foundation for video. I mean, it's not everybody says, oh, but I want to take moving pictures, not still pictures. Really good video, you can pause it at any point and you'll have a great still picture. Okay, so we start everybody out with about a week and a half's worth of photo training, and the rest of the time you're meeting with your reporting instructors, you know, beginning to discuss the fundamentals of reporting, and there's a lot of reporting time built into that so that you have time to do your audio assignments, you have time to do your photo assignments, and you have time to do your reporting assignments.
Why don't you go ahead?
Okay. So the Friday classes, do you have input on which teachers you end up with, or do you kind of send into
Can you speak directly into the
Sorry,
microphone?
on Friday, are you, those classes with like a reporting teacher, do you have any control over who is your teacher? Or?
No, we register you for those.
Okay, and then can I ask a second question? The written word, that's also one class, right? So
It's
it might
one class.
meet once or twice a week, but the
Once
rest
a
of the
week.
time you're just doing your work? Is that what that kind of
Yeah.
plan is?
Right, and they're written word modules that meet every day of the week except for Friday, and you will pick one of them, and your class will meet for 3 hours for the written word module on one of those days.
Right. And then you're expected to be doing the work.
Right,
Where that, okay.
Exactly. I mean, some people will, people divide up their schedules differently. You know, some people will take a photo class on Monday morning and a written word class on Monday afternoon, and they have the rest of Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to do their reporting. Other students will take a written word class on one day, but they've got video on another day, and it's the entire day. So, you know, it really depends on your particular schedule.
Could you please tell us more about...
Could you speak directly into the microphone, please?
Sure. Could you please tell us some more about the different master's projects that students produce? Having to pick one and commit to it in week 8 seems a bit daunting.
Well, what we tell everybody gets it done. It is daunting. I mean, the master's project is a long-form, in-depth piece of journalism. Once upon a time, nearly all of them were print. That's obviously wouldn't serve you guys well, and it wouldn't, I mean, now we have many other options. You can do your master's project in print, and most students do their projects in print. You can do it in audio. You can do a full audio project, which is typically 3 separate pieces. You think of it as an audio series, 3 pieces, adding up to roughly 20 minutes worth of audio. We have another option called an audio hybrid, which is, I don't know, I hate the name, but it does kind of sum it up. And that consists of a chunk of print, roughly 2,500 words, and then some audio, an audio piece to accompany it. So we tell students, you know, think about it if this story were going online, You know, you might have print telling part of the story, but perhaps there would be something you would have students listening to, and you'd probably want a picture or two to go with it. So that's an option. We have a video option. The video option is entirely a hybrid option in that it consists of about 2,500 words worth of print and 4 to 6 minutes worth of video. You have to pitch and get permission to do that. It's not automatic. And, you know, I think quite a lot of students come in thinking, ooh, I want to do video. By the time you're done with your video module, you realize that it's a really complex medium, and the number of people wanting to execute their master's projects in video begins to fall off because you begin to see it's going to take you a lot more time than it would. So, and we're also going to formalize a couple of other options next year, which I'll call, I forgot one. We have a photo option, which consists of a print story of maybe 2,500 words and an accompanying portfolio of photos. Next year, we're going to formalize a couple of options that we've been permitting informally all along, which are, I want to do a print project, but I want to take some pictures to go with it. Or I want to do a print project, but you know, I've got a really good character and I'd like to shoot a little bit of video because I think it would look pretty good on a website. So we're going to allow that. So you can think of it as a sort of a video hybrid light option or a photo hybrid light option. And everybody has an individual advisor who works with them one-on-one with those projects. And truly, they seem daunting, but you know, the advisors know how to break it down so that step by step you get it done.
Could I follow up with what students then do with their finished products? Do they get displayed? Does it become part of their portfolio?
Well, officially, two things. Officially, the requirement of the university is that you submit it to us and it goes on file in our library, just as anybody's who did a master's thesis in any traditional academic program, you would hand it in and it would be on file in the library for anyone who wants to see it. Many students do publish or try to publish all or a piece of their project. You own the project, you own the copyright, we don't. So if you wish to sell it, we, you know, and try to publish it. We encourage it. Some students do every year. Some never want to see it again. So that's entirely up to you.
We'll take the 5 questions from the people who are standing right now, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more about the data program and also about part-time study. So.
Hi. So how much of our own equipment should we be bringing into the program? Will we be using our own kits and cameras? And if we don't have access to, say, a video camera, we'll be able to get that?
Yes, you will. You are welcome to and encouraged to, I mean, if you have a DSLR that you like and you're comfortable with, by all means, you don't have to use ours. But nobody needs to go out and buy equipment. We don't require that. We will publish at probably around early June sometime a list of what we use. The only thing we really, really strongly encourage students to have is an external hard drive, particularly if you're doing video, because otherwise you're just absolutely tied to our labs, and every time a class comes in, you're going to have to get up and move. This way you can take what you're working on with you. So we strongly encourage that. Everything else we have available for checkout. Some of it's tied to the class. For instance, if you're taking a video class, you have access to our cameras. If you don't, you know, there are times of year when you can't because they're in use for the video classes. We actually encourage students to come try something out. And, you know, why go buy a camera if you don't know if you love it? If you come and you love it and you think, oh, this is what I want to do, then by all means, and we'll help you, and there are all sorts of student discounts.
I'm gonna follow up with a quick one. Do any of your full-time students ever work on the side? Is that even possible?
I wouldn't encourage that. Sometimes in the spring they'll have internships, but we wouldn't encourage working. I think that the part-timers do. I don't think, you know, it's an intense year and you get a lot of intense mentoring and the workload's pretty heavy, and so why dilute it? And you know, the demands of a job, you're not going to be able to put your full-time attention on your studies here.
So I'm not sure if I came too early. We're going to talk about the data and then the CS program as well. So my question is, why do you start data specialization program from the perspective of the school? I know my reason, but I want to know why you start this specialization. And also, since you have CS and journalism dual degree, what's the position of the data specialization? And what's the job market look like for the data specialization students? So maybe you'll, yeah.
Yeah, why don't we let, if your question is more general, since Janine is going to talk about that in a minute, why don't we take this one and then we'll go to your question.
Yeah, a little more general. Just when it comes to the journalism essentials, the 4-pack, so you're talking about history, law, ethics. Is this pertaining just specifically like for history, like to journalism, like the history of media, or is that just like a more broader history, same with law?
No, it's specifically media. So you're looking, in history, you know, you're looking at some of the, you're looking at the ways journalism has changed and story presentation has changed. You're looking at some pieces of historical journalism, you're discussing them and looking at how how the past has bearing on the present. Is that a fair way to say it? Journalism law, now interestingly, that's a class that's changed quite a lot in the past decade. When I came to the school, all the domestic students, the American-born students, took journalism law, and it was felt that for the international students, what did American media law have to do with them? And so they would take a class called New York as a Foreign Country. You know, journalism has gotten so global, and you can sit here in New York and publish a story that gets you in big trouble elsewhere. So the journalism law class is looking at international media law and what you need to know.
Okay, Janina, would you like to talk a little bit then about the data program?
All right. Well, first I'm going to try to answer the question, why? There are multiple reasons why we need to incorporate data in our reporting. But I think it's better if I give you an example. 20 years ago, when I started working as an investigative journalist, it was impossible to interview 100 or 200 people for a piece or for an investigation. Now we can interrogate millions and millions of records in seconds. And that means that we can find stories that we couldn't find before. So data is so powerful. And before describing our program, I want to describe the philosophy behind our program, which is not just learning tools and skills, but learning them in the context of journalism. And that is really important, and it's, I think, one of the most important things we're offering in the school now, because as you know, you can go online and get, easily learn how to program or, coding or scraping or all the skills you need as a data journalist. But it's not the same when you learn them in the context of journalism. And so what we are going to do is try to emulate a newsroom, not just a print newsroom, but any kind of newsroom. The difference between this program and the regular one is basically, well, there are two main differences. The most important one is that we're going to have a data bootcamp in August. That's 8 sessions or classes, 3 hours each one. And that's like an introduction to data journalism and fundamentals of computing. We're going to work with multiple case studies, and we're going to decode data stories on how they were reported, the data, the kind of data that was used, and the methodology, and so on. We're going to learn how to think as data journalists and how to come up with ideas for reporting. We're going to learn how to find data, where, the kinds of types of data and formats. And so this is pretty much an introduction on the main concepts that we will use during the program. Then in the fall, there's also a workshop on photo for the data concentration that's going on in August. And during the fall, we're going to have, so the other difference between this program in terms of structure and the regular one is that module in August, and then the data workshop, that as you can see is the arrow in the middle. That workshop runs from in the fall and the spring as well. It has no credits, but it's required for any student that is taking the data concentration program. So those are the main differences. And then the third one, which is instead of taking the regular reporting class, you would be taking a reporting class that is customized for data. The same with writing data stories. Instead of taking the regular writing class, you would be taking this one that is designed and customized for how to write data stories. And so during the fall, you will be also taking a full course on statistics. The master project has to be related, data related somehow. And that's another difference as well, but it's the same thing that Laura described before in terms of expectations or formats. During the spring, you have 2 choices. First of all, you have to choose one data-related class. We have now multiple options. Well, as you probably know, the data concentration program is new, so you will be the first lucky ones having been enrolled in this program. So the choice for the spring semester is one class, data-related class that could be journalistic computing, data visualization, a class that we're teaching now that is cross-border investigations using data, and then a regular spring class as the regular program. And for that, you have, as Laura was mentioning, multiple options on reporting on something, arts, science, education, health, and so on. And the audience and engagement class is the same class for the other specializations in the regular program. Then the workshop goes, again, this is 2 weeks, so we're going to have 1 session a week. And then during this module is where you're going to learn all the coding part, and it's more hands-on oriented. So again, during the first module is more like an introduction and conceptual introduction on both journalism, computing, and the intersection between the two of them. And then all the hard work will start in the fall all along till the end of the program. So I will be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. Can you go please to the microphone?
Hi. For those of us who are not on the data concentration program, what are the options we have for getting into the data, a part of journalism which has become more and more relevant, like programming or, I don't know.
Yeah. You actually have a lot of options. I mean, in the fall semester, we have 7-week data modules under that image and sound, so you could opt to take that. We have spring 15-week data classes. You could opt to take one of those. You could opt to take both if you want a particularly deep dive. So basically, you don't have to be in this concentration in order to learn a fair amount about data. It's just, you know, these guys are taking an even deeper dive, but you can for sure get quite a lot of data. I mean, just as you don't have to be one of our Stabile students to get investigative journalism, there are many options for that also.
As far as the dual computer science program, what coordination, I guess, if any, is there between the classes that we're taking in computer science in addition to the data courses that we're taking in the journalism school?
Well, in terms of content, the dual degree is, as you might know, is really, the goal is acquiring 2 professions at the same time. And this is not the goal for the data concentration.
No. But there's quite a lot of, I mean, it's completely coordinated, frankly. I mean, your schedule is mapped out. We set the class times of your requirements here to work around what you're taking at computer science. Emily Bell in our Tau Center works very closely individually with the students on their scheduling and making sure that they're getting into what they need. So you're not left to your own. It's a very coordinated program.
Okay, thank you very much.
Next, I'd like for Elena to take a few minutes to talk a little bit about the part-time program and how that gets mapped out, and just to give you some flavor for it.
Okay, because we're going to go into it more extensively in the next panel. But as Dean Muha explained, this is very much the same degree. What it offers is the chance for people who prefer or need to, as I did, work to finish this, well, as they finish this degree, to spread it out over 6 semesters. So you're taking the very same classes, but in certain instances, such as the reporting class, that basic fundamental reporting class, you're actually taking that one separately over the summer. So those of you who are making your decisions, you decide on May 1st, you come right back to school on May 22nd to have the orientation, and then take just that one class. Reporting throughout the summer. And that too starts with a digital boot camp, essentially learning the camera, learning audio, and then hopefully taking that camera and audio equipment with you as you go out into your neighborhoods to write and produce your assignments for that summer. Then you go into the fall semester and you're taking those 2 modules that Dean Muha described, a writing module, which everyone needs to complete, and a second module, either an image and sound or data class, or the audience and engagement class. Those 2 7-week classes are not taken at the same time, they're taken back to back, which is a great way to do this program because it essentially means you're doing 1 class at a time. And if you work a 9-to-5 job, it's very, very doable. You come back to us after a long winter break in the spring to take 1 class, that seminar and production class, 15 weeks, a little more intensive. It's called seminar and production because you're in the class, but you're also producing a piece of journalism, whether it's a magazine, whether it's a website, a nightly news program. Part-time students have a lot of options. They can choose classes at night. Most do. But there are also offerings during the day. And I will tell you that some of the classes that are offered, especially those that are tech-based or use camera equipment, will sometimes ask you for a full day. So, you know, what I tell part-time students is not to think of Columbia as a night school. The flexibility lies within being able to take this one class at a time, but you really should have some movement in your schedule to be able to take advantage of these classes. Sometimes you have to rearrange your own schedule, as I've said many times. Maybe you've seen me in some of the previous videos talk about using your vacation and personal days in order to save up to take one of these more intensive classes during a weekday. But in any case, you have time to do that, because you will come back again in the spring to take another seminar and production class, and it'll be your decision in which order to take those classes. Then you come back in the summer and you do your master's project. You basically focus that one long-form piece over the course of the summer. You meet with your advisor in May, you turn in a draft in June, second draft in July, and then a final draft at the end of the summer. It sounds pretty leisurely, especially those of you who maybe are churning out like tons of stories a day, but this is a deeply reported piece, and as Muha explained, you have options. You can do a long-form magazine piece. You can do a hybrid. Students right this second are planning their pitches right now to try to accomplish that. Or you can do a radio piece, obviously a long-form print piece, like 4,000 to 6,000 words. Or a hybrid photo print piece. But it's just that one story. And then you come back to us in the fall to finish the 4-pack for part-timers is essentially 2 classes, the law and critical issues class, the ethics class. Those are generally taken on weeknights. And the third module, if it wasn't audience and engagement the first time around, it'll be audience and engagement the second time around, or it could be a video class or a photo class. Then you finish out the program with that final seminar and production class. So it's 6 semesters, fall, summer, spring, and you're done. And most of those other classes, you're going to be mixed in with the full-time students. Working with them, maybe collaborating with them on projects, and you'll find that it works quite well. You're part of these 2 communities, and for my perspective, it's sort of getting the best of both worlds.
Thank you very much, Elena. Does anybody have any questions for Elena right now? She covered everything in 3 seconds. You can tell she's a journalist and she knows how to put it all together quickly.
Can we, before declaring our enrollment by May 1st, can we switch? Like if
I am good.
Well, it was I was under the impression that you
Yes.
couldn't do it with a full-time job, but sounded this time
You
like
can do the
maybe
part-time.
you
Most
could.
of our students, I did it with a full-time job, absolutely. We're talking 40 hours a week, 9 to 5. If you are working, in a job that has you doing 14-hour days, maybe not. Because in the same way that the full-time program requires a lot of you, this is like having 2 full-time jobs, even just with that one class at a time. But yes, it's entirely possible to do that. What I will say is that you have to scrape together somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 to 10 hours of reporting and editing, maybe shooting time. And the way that most of our students accomplish that is by doing and choosing stories to the extent that you can. And in most classes, they are what we call enterprise stories. So you find them, you pitch them, you execute them. Morning, lunch hour, after work, weekends.
But we.
And then you come to class at night for the most part, or if you can squeeze them in during the day, get time off, work it out with your supervisor to take a class you really want to take that actually happens to meet on 2 to 5 on a Thursday. But it is entirely possible to only take evening classes. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it because I know that some of you are going to see these curricula and think, oh, I want to take that book writing class. I really want to take the covering religion class. And if you really want to take it, you'll find a way to do it. It's really just one semester. Let me put it to you this way. If you had to take a weekday off for one of those seminars over the course of a semester, that's 15 days. That's 2 weeks of vacation. And so some students will, try to navigate it that way. But yes, you can work a full-time job and fulfill all of your requirements.
And we can decide by May 1st to.
What you can do is send us an email in the admissions office. We can't switch automatically, but let us know of your interest, and we can talk about it. Okay. Thank you, Elena, Janina, Laura. Thank you all very, very much. You all in the audience are welcome to stand and stretch again. Take a quick break if you need to. We're going to have our student panel come up right now, and so I'll invite my students to come up.
Oh, and the part-timers are meeting in 607B, right?
The part-time students will be meeting with Elena in 607B, and you can meet her at the back of the room to go up there.
So, do you want to have this? No. Oh, the reading.
Whichever way is easiest. Hi there. I can't believe it's been a year. Yeah, I came to the lab
Gotta put me at the end, huh? I'm scared. How are you? Can you believe it's been a year?
It's okay. Or should I? Yeah.
People are really reserved or something.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started again. I have my full-time MS student panel here, and they're looking forward to talking with you. They were just saying that it feels really strange to be over on this side now. I'm going to have them each introduce themselves to you, and they're going to talk just about what they have been doing, what their experiences here have been like, why they chose to come here, what they're looking forward to now that graduation is only 4 weeks away, which seems really, really hard to imagine. There will also be plenty of time for you all to ask questions. We will probably stop at about 6:20. I know the program says 6:30, unless you've got lots of questions, because the people who are going to be doing the Friday night film night will be coming in. But we have the time that we need. So I am going to turn this over to our students.
All right. Hi, everyone. It's nice to see all these new people here. My name is Anita Abedian. I'm an MS full-time student. I'm from San Jose, California, and I came to Columbia because I came here when you guys did this day, and I spoke with professors. I heard students talk about, what they got out of the program, and I can confidently say 4 weeks until graduation that I made the right choice.
My name is Nadeem. I'm from Canada originally. I'm an MS student. I'm in the documentary program as well. And I had worked for a few years in different fields before coming to Jschool. I'd worked as a journalist for about a year before coming here. And I think I wanted to find a program that would excel my learning at a really fast rate, and where I could pick up skills and things I didn't quite know yet that I wanted to learn, like in video and data. And so I came here.
Hi everyone, I'm Annie Mendez. I'm from Panama and an MS full-time student here. I pretty much came to the Jschool because I worked in a newsroom for 2 years, and I felt that I still didn't really know what it took to be a very good journalist, and coming here has changed that. So yeah.
I guess I should have mentioned my background in journalism. I wasn't formally trained. I was actually teaching high school before I came to the Jschool, so it was a career transition for me. And I had been an urban education reporter, so I had done a little bit of reporting, but I was never really formally trained, so that was one of the reasons why I came.
Can you talk, each of you, a little bit about what you've been doing since you came to the journalism school? Maybe talk a little bit about the challenges of picking your courses, some of the things that you have been trying to do, things that you have wanted to accomplish while you've been here at the journalism school.
All right, should I start? Yeah, I'll start. So I guess I had a Paula span for reporting, and one of the main challenges I faced was, I had a background in education reporting and not much else. So we were all assigned beats, and she gave me crime, law enforcement, and police. I had no idea how to do police reporting. I didn't know, but it pushed me out of my comfort zone and forced me to get out on the street, do old school shoe leather reporting. I was, at the precincts, talking to cops, talking to people in the community, and it took me into the courts. And it was one of the most valuable experiences I got coming to this school. And I think that was one of the things that I look back on, and I'm just like, I'm so glad that the professors here challenge you to do that. And it's, it can be a little stressful and intense, but that's what you need to grow as a journalist. So that's something that I really appreciated. As far as choosing courses, it's difficult because there's so much. And, you know, there's a lot of emphasis on multimedia and data. And, you know, I was really interested in long form and print, but I also wanted to get my video skills. So I took a Video 1 course with Hilke Shellman. It was amazing. She taught me so much. She's an Emmy Award-winning documentarian, outlawed in Pakistan as a frontline PBS documentary. She won the Emmy for it. And that prompted me to do a video hybrid project for my master's. And that was challenging but rewarding at the same time. And I really wanted to do, I'm from San Jose, Silicon Valley. I wanted to get my data skills, you know, I wanted to hone my data skills. So I went to Mark Hansen's Data Thursdays that he had. There were three or four? I don't know. I went to all of them. And I learned how to do RStudio and code, like all this nerdy, awesome, you know, stuff that I didn't know how to do before. So you can, I guess what I'm trying to say is you can kind of do it all, but it's really good to sort of figure out what you really want to do second semester. So I wanted to focus more on my print and my writing and my long form. So I'm taking a long form literary doc journalism class with Dale Maharaj. Highly recommend it. Long form magazine writing, and an investigative class with Walt Bogdanich. It's just, I can't even tell you how amazing that class is. I can't talk about it much because everything in that class is off the record, but I will say that I've learned a lot, and I think I've made a lot of good choices for the classes I took. First semester narrative writing and the video, yeah.
I'm glad you brought up reporting, because I think the great thing about this program is that no matter what it is you want to do, whether you want to write for Vogue or write for a newspaper or do radio, everyone does the reporting class, which is, I think, 7 or 8 weeks, and you have kind of a small class, a professor, and it's, I mean, it's very practical. You're out reporting stories in neighborhoods you probably won't normally visit, and learning kind of the rigors of journalism in an intensive way, and then coming back to workshop your stories with your professor, and I think that kind of sets the tone for everything else you do at the school. And after that, I mean, there's so many options for what you could potentially do. If it's radio or data or video, but I think it all comes back sort of to those first 7, 8 weeks when you really learn what it takes to be a reporter, to find the truth of a story or the multiple truths of a story, and then learn how to write them in a cogent way that people will want to read and is informative. For myself, I kind of chose classes based on what just seemed interesting to me. I didn't really have a plan per se, and I mean, I loved videos, so I did a bit of video, and then also there was a class being taught by the dean of the school. It was sort of a profile writing class, and that was a blast. We read some amazing work. We got to write our own kind of long form pieces. I wrote like a 5,000 words profile on the Queen of Iran, former Queen of Iran, which was a lot of fun to write. I got to interview her, I got to meet her.
I want to read it.
Yes, I mean, in all the classes you choose, you'll have these opportunities to report and tell amazing stories, and you may want to eventually sell or publish those stories. They may just be for your class, but certainly every class will have a practical component, which will be really interesting. This semester, I was in a really amazing class, actually. I was in a class called Covering Religion. This is a class that Professor Ari Goldman teaches. He was the former religion writer at the Times. He's been using this class for many years, and the class actually includes like a reporting trip, an all expenses paid reporting trip. This year it was India, last year it was Israel, but they've been to Russia, to Ireland, to the Vatican, all over the place. And that was an amazing experience because we got to go and essentially learn about a country, study its religions, its faiths, its politics, and then actually go there and do reporting and make videos and radio and write stories for 12 days during spring break, all kind of with the guidance of your professor.
I started out my Columbia experience in the best of ways. I had the absolute best reporting professor I could have asked for, and if you're lucky enough to get her, count your lucky stars. Her name is Karen Stabiner, and I'm from Panama, like I said, and for the last 2 years I had been writing in Spanish, and transitioning back to English was a little bit difficult for me, and she just pushed me, and she made me do it, and getting out of her class, I just felt like, you know what, I have a reason to be here, I can do this. And during first semester, well, actually during both semesters, you're also able to take skills classes outside of your regular day-to-day, week-to-week classes. And Nadim and I actually took a really cool investigative reporting class. And part of the great experience of sitting in that skills class that isn't for a grade was that everybody who was there because they really wanted to be, which is generally the sentiment that you get at the Jschool. Everyone who's here wants to be here, so you can all kind of encourage each other and work together to make yourselves better. But seeing what some of our peers had done was pretty cool. I mean, even Nadim has worked on some pretty interesting stuff before the Jschool, and he's being a little bit humble here, but learning from your peers, not just from your professors, is an incredible experience. And I'm actually right now in the cross-border investigations class with Janina, which is outstanding, and we're working on some amazing, amazing projects that I never thought I would be able to do because it's school. So how are you going to get your hands on such crazy stories that can really maybe influence public policy or laws? And it's happening. So you have a very, very unique opportunity to work in a safe space with people who know what they're doing, who are veterans in the field, and with people who are willing to learn as well and who are willing to push you along. So you're all kind of in this together and working for something greater. So
maybe you'd like to talk a little bit about the master's project, how you figured out what you were going to do, why you chose it, and talk a little bit about that process.
Okay. Like I
She's
mentioned,
too tired.
I know. I was in the law library earlier today because I'm creating a database for a story that I'm hoping will make an impact in the long run. But I came about my story for my master's project the way I sort of came across most of my stories so far that have been here, which is you go out and you meet people and you speak with people and you collect, you start making sources and people tell you to look here and then you investigate there. And I sort of came across these mothers in West Harlem. There was a raid that happened in the summer before school started in these two housing complexes. And long story short, I'm gonna make it short. I went there and I interviewed people in the community in the aftermath of the raid of 39 young men from both housing complexes being arrested. There was, gang rivalry involved, 276-page indictment, 2 separate ones that I went through, and I profiled, 2 mothers from the 2, rival Manhattanville and Grant housing projects, and that wasn't my original story idea. My original idea, which I'm not going to get into, but it didn't really work out. And that's the great thing about having, you get your own advisor and you have someone who knows how to structure a story, who's done this before and who can give you, an idea of how to, what's going to work and what's not going to work. So I came across that story and I was really immersed in the lives of these mothers and their sons. I went to Rikers and visited one of the young men. He was 21 in the prison, and I interviewed him, and I'm still actually doing the video portion of that story. I'm still working on that. And the great thing is that my advisor, even though we turned in our masters and it's done, she said she's willing to look at my video piece and help me, even though, you know, like the process hasn't ended, because we have a relationship now where I can be like, hey, Hilke, will you look at this? And, you know, maybe I should pitch this here. So that's my master's experience. And one thing that I really value about that is you have this opportunity to go in really deep in reporting, and you're able to do that because of the boot camp in August and because of the skills classes. I did audio skills, which was awesome with Sally Hirschberger. And then you do like, you know, you're prepped to do this master's project, and it's a great experience. It's a very rewarding experience.
So because I'm in the doc program, I don't have to do a thesis like they do, which all my friends kind of hate me for right now because they just finished doing these recently. But in the doc program, you do an extra semester where you essentially work on a documentary. You produce a 20 to 30-minute documentary. And I'm one of the students that's coming back in the fall to work on my documentary then. But I mean, as part of the doc program, we kind of do everything everyone else does, but we have this extra focus on documentaries. So we've had so many great filmmakers come. Tonight, Alex Gibney is coming. He's talking about his new Scientology film for HBO. So we have events like that, or we have we'll have lectures, or we have Oscar-winning editors come in and talk to us about editing a film. So we kind of look at the mechanics and engineering of a documentary film really closely, on top of also making our own films. Let me talk about one of the films that I worked on this semester and last semester. It was basically about a group of nuns that lived in a monastery in the South Bronx. And this is the last, what I learned afterwards, this was the last community of contemplative nuns in New York City. Their numbers had kind of gone way down from 40 to about 10. They're all quite elderly, in their 70s and 80s. And essentially what it ended up being was it's sort of a film about a way of life, a community that may not be around in a generation or two. I sort of just embedded with these 10 nuns into their home, their monastery, and it was fascinating. It was really interesting.
So I think one of the greatest parts about the master's project is that even if it is a grueling, exhausting experience, it teaches you how to be a great negotiator. Because in life, as you will learn when you go through this program, you encounter a ton of different types of editors. And the one editor that will really follow you throughout school will be your master's project advisor. And that can be a contentious relationship, or it can be a wonderful relationship. It's really up to you to figure out how you work with your advisor to really craft something that you're proud of, and that also makes sense, and that this person can also be proud of, this person who's guiding you and investing time in you. My big learning experience was when I was actually trying to nail down my master's project topic. I had a very different idea of what I wanted it to be, and my advisor kind of insisted that I stick to something else, and I was finally able to convince him that I wanted to write about lead poisoning in minority communities. And after we overcame that hurdle, and I was able to negotiate with him peacefully, I think he had more trust in me, and he was able to realize that I could undertake this endeavor, and I did, and it turned out to be a really interesting narrative piece about the last clinic in the Bronx that treats kids with lead poisoning, and about the doctor who's been on the team for 40 years that's still treating kids. And we think of lead poisoning as something from the past, but it's really still not for a specific portion of New Yorkers. So, I mean, if anything, it will teach you how you have to be if you really want to put forth something that you're passionate about. and how to deal with higher ups that might have a different vision. I mean, having said that, in other cases, I've had to be like, no, okay, you're right. When you're right, you're right. But sometimes we do have to stick up for our stories and believe in what we're doing, and that's a pretty cool experience.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point about becoming a good negotiator, because once you're thrust into the real world, you're always, you have to pitch your stories and you have to fight for your idea, and you'll have editors that are like, I don't know if that'll work. So that's good that I kind of got that training too, and I'm using it now after the Career Expo.
Speaking of which.
Speaking of which.
Do you want to describe what that is and what you needed to do to prepare for it?
Okay. What was it? It was a huge, Lerner Hall was filled with how many employers? Like 250? I don't even know the number. What was that?
147?
It felt more than that.
Yeah.
There were 300 interviewers.
Oh gosh, it was intense. It just happened a couple weeks ago, I guess, right? It's been 2 weeks now. And so the Career Expo is the largest journalism networking of a job expo in the world.
The universe.
The universe, the galaxy. It really is. And that alone is a reason to come to Columbia, just for that. I was in a room with all these editors of these publications that I'd long admired, and I don't know how I would ever be able to meet them and shake their hands and have them, speak with me face to face and hear my stories and hear what I've learned had it not been for an event like that. So I guess it's something that happens at the end of the year, and to prepare for it, what did I do to prepare for it? Went to the Career Center, the Career Services people, and Gina Bouvion really helped me with my resume and getting it down to one page, and just little things like resume and preparing a cover letter and clips, getting your clips together, and knowing how to present yourself and how to conduct an interview. We've all sort of at some point in our lives had jobs maybe where we had, where we were selling ourselves and doing the interview thing, but it's different when you have Dean Huff with a bell and you have 20 minutes with this editor, with this, to be like, this is me, this is my backstory, this is what I learned here, and this is what I have for you. And I had a really good experience at the Career Expo. I had a few editors say, we like your master's project, send it to us. We want to know more. I had one editor say, here's my card, but let me give you my other number because I want that story you're working on for your long form class with Professor Maharaj. And he knows my professor, so they have a relationship. So you're one of his students? Great. I've had, other students of his write for me and had a great experience. So that kind of you're part of this Columbia journalism network that is just not even 6 degrees of separation, even less than that. And there's a good reputation behind the students that come out of this school, so that you kind of, it works to your advantage. And take it away.
Yeah, I was going to say how it was so funny because as soon as the career fair arrived, it was right after kind of master's projects were due, and everyone who'd been really exhausted and not looking so good put on suits and ties and dresses and looked really nice, and it was nice to see everyone looking good again.
We didn't recognize them.
I know. You should have seen us the week before. Oh my God.
Yeah, and I just got back from India, and I got really violently ill in India, and when you get sick in India, you get really sick. So, but at Career Fair, it was a nice experience because you get to speak to people that are kind of doing new things in journalism. There's a lot of kind of traditional companies, then a lot of kind of newer companies. There are a lot of companies that I'd never even heard of before who were there, people that I got to meet with who were doing really, really cool things online or finding new ways of telling stories. So I think for me, more than kind of treating it as I have to go here and try and find a job, it was more, let me see what people are doing in the world of journalism. And I think on that side, it was really interesting as well. And then obviously getting to talk about people's career paths, talk about opportunities in their companies, even getting to pitch some of your own stories as well. Yeah, it was great.
I got matched with 9 employers because you get matched by career services and then there's a walk-up period. I got matched with 9 employers. I believe 6 of them had alum name tags, which was pretty cool. So not only do you talk about yourself, but you get to bond with them over Jschool. And it's like you said, it's the network, and it's really cool that you have so many people. I mean, the Times recruiter from a Jschool alum. I actually thought, I went into it thinking, oh my gosh, I'm gonna dread this. It's gonna be an exhausting long day, and I just finished with my master's project. Why am I doing this? Nobody's going to hire me anyway. And when I got there, it was actually an extraordinarily pleasant experience. I mean, you have people who are really interested in what you're doing. You already kind of have a stamp of approval from Columbia saying this person is worth it. So give them a shot, listen to them for 20 minutes, let them make their cause. And it was great. It really, the day went by so much faster than I expected it to go. And just learning that there is hope and there is a future in journalism was also encouraging, even though it sometimes doesn't seem as promising as we would like for it to be.
There is hope.
There is hope.
You've been talking a lot about all of your schoolwork and finding jobs and that sort of thing. Talk a little bit about your social life here. We do let you have a social life.
Yes, and it's just limited to here, by the way. When I see you at Brad's Cafe, that's my social life. No, actually, no, but really, one of the things that, and it's happening tonight, is the Friday film night, the doc night. And I remember, because I love documentary film, and which is why I wanted to do a video hybrid piece, which is 2,500 words of print, and then you do a short video piece. But I ended up writing over 5,000 words, but that's a different story. But yeah, we have events. We have, like a Friday film night where we get together, have pizza, meet a person who directed an amazing film, and watch a movie together. We had what was the name of the ball, like that big event?
Lucille's Ball.
Lucille's Ball. That's right. Yeah, I can't remember the name of it. Yeah,
Who was Lucille?
It was Lucille. It was Lucille's Ball, and that's like this big kind of Jschool party that we attended. So there is a social life that you can have while you're at the school, but and you do explore the city. Like, I have gone out with friends here. I have friends that live in New York, and you do get a chance to do that. But I caution, I will caution you all, and schoolwork comes first. I sound like a parent, but schoolwork comes first, so you have to make sure you don't get too carried away by what the city has to offer. And really take advantage of the opportunities that are presented to you through the school's social events, because there's always stuff going on. Like, there's always speakers and events and things all over the school, and it's very alive. It's just nonstop.
Yeah, I was going to say kind of the same thing you said, that there's always so many things happening at the school. And I think New York is kind of a media center unlike any other, and I think Columbia, our journalism school, has kind of full access to that. So the number of lectures and panels, film screenings, like things of this nature that are happening here at the school, it's pretty much constant, and almost every week there's something that's like fascinating or mind-blowing. I think back to the beginning of the year when we had that panel after James Foley was killed.
Oh, right.
And, even that was an incredible panel. Super interesting. We've had all these great editors from fantastic magazines come in the past month, and that that kind of becomes your social life a little bit. But I think the great thing about journalism and journalists is that almost every journalist is like a fan of journalism to some degree. So you're kind of going to school with 250 fans of journalism, and so you're always kind of you're reading things, you're sharing things, and you're kind of studying journalism outside of school as well with your friends. And that's, I think, a really great part of the experience as well.
Yeah, there's a really rich sense of camaraderie. And I think that especially going through the reporting module, that those people kind of become your immediate family once you get here. And it's pretty cool. I mean, I still go to dinner maybe once every 2 weeks with most of the people in my reporting class, and that was unexpected and very pleasant to be able to have that. It's like a little family. And like Nadim said, you kind of go through this filter where everybody is here because they're interested in journalism, so you already have that one thing to bond over. And we are on a college campus, so even if you're going crazy and it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you're stuck here working on something, I mean, you'll always see a friendly face. And that will sometimes be your social life, but not always. I mean, it's a good balance.
It's true. It's like 4 in the morning, and I'm like, "Hey, Samantha, good to see you." And we'll go get something to drink after editing for 3 hours. And I mean, that's great. It's because everyone's so invested. So it's sort of like a built-in social life with the people that you're going to school with.
Let's take some questions.
Hi, thank you so much, all of you, actually, for speaking. It was really enriching and sort of gave a great fabric to what goes on. I'm just interested, are any of you planning or would like to go on to do the Master of Arts, or do you know anyone in the year that would be that is interested in doing that?
An MA program?
Here.
I don't know anyone that wants to do more school right now.
Right, I was going to say.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much.
We do on occasion have people who go on after the MS degree to do the MA.
Hi, considering you're in the final phases of your journey, I guess I'd really like to know, looking back a year, sitting where we were, what could you say that you wish you knew then that would have helped you navigate the various challenges you encounter doing Jschool?
Do you guys want to start first?
That's
a good question.
I think that when I was on that side, I was absolutely terrified. And I didn't think I could do it. And it sounded so daunting and so scary. And I wish I hadn't been as nervous as I was, because I think it took away from just really enjoying a little bit of the beginning of the school year. I think I was a little too neurotic. But just go in with the mindset that you don't know it all. I think that would be the first thing. You're here for a reason, and don't think that you can't learn from your peers, because you're thrown in with such a diverse group of people from so many different backgrounds that you really can learn from everyone at the Jschool, not just the amazing professors. But
yeah, I just thought I'm right with her on that. I think I was Jika knows this too. I was a little wound up in the beginning, like way too stressed out, and that's because I felt like, oh my gosh, there's all this I have to do. And everyone's kind of in the same boat. So I wish I would have chilled out a little bit. And the second thing is, when I was where you're at, there are 3 other people who were giving this great advice. I wish I would have followed up with them and been like, so what were the names of those professors you mentioned? How are those classes? Do you have any tips or any advice about this? And just kind of followed up with the people that I met here, because they're these, great volunteers, our colleagues that are here to help you guys sort of navigate and figure out what you want out of this program, and definitely take advantage of that. And, I'm sure we're all happy to answer questions following this too. So, yeah.
I think what I would say is that, it's really easy to get stressed out or to become anxious over your future or jobs or if you're not getting your clips published and you're worried about that. There's a lot of things that I think people can spend time worrying about. But I think your main focus should be, the craft of journalism and learning it really, really well, elevating, your own skills, and not worrying so much about getting published or the future, and just making sure that you're making the most out of why you're here, which is to become a really, really fabulous journalist.
Thank you, that was very useful. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
All you guys have really inspiring stories, so it was really wonderful to hear. I hope I phrased this properly. For me, the biggest fear about coming here is having worked, a few years in the industry and sort of have this life, and you're not taking off, you're taking on a new life for a year. Is there, it's also a financial burden at the same time. So now that you're on the other end, any advice for someone who's sitting on the ledge about whether, to make a big change, like going to the Jschool?
Go for it. What's stopping you? No, really, you have to think. You have to sit. I had to go through this too and be like, I'm making a huge shift, and I had options. I applied to various schools, so I was like, should I stay in California and go to Berkeley? Should I, go to, NYU, whatever? And I like to sort of make lists, so I did it's not very creative, but like a pro and con, and at the end of it, I just ripped it up, and I'm like, why? This is what I want to do. You just sort of know, I feel like. You just have to trust your gut. And that's what I did, because I was sort of in the same position as you. I worked in the music industry, and I was a teacher before I came to journalism school. And it was a big shift, but like I said before, I grew so much out of it. I grew so much from it. And what I got out of it, it's propelling me in a whole new different direction that was meant for me. I really think was meant for me.
So I was going to say that I think, because I had a job before I came here. I was working, and to be honest, it feels a little bit like I never left the newsroom in a way. Because coming here, it's kind of like you're coming into this massive experimental newsroom where you're going to be trying lots of new things out. And I think, I don't want to tell you what to do, but I think you'll never regret taking a year of your life to come and learn more about journalism, to be part of a really interesting journalistic community, and to pick up some new skills as well. I don't think you'll regret it. Yeah.
And just being able to explore new things within journalism in a safe environment. You'll get pushed here, and you will sweat and cry and bleed, but I'm serious. But it's still, at the end of the day, everyone here has your best interest at heart, and everyone wants to see you become a better journalist. And having that, yeah, maybe you can learn the craft on your own in a newsroom, but you don't have the kind of support and the kind of, you are going to get better, let me push you some more, that you'll get here. It's really invaluable. It's like nothing else I've experienced.
Yeah, and then you have like 3-time Pulitzer Prize winning, journalists who are your mentors. I had lunch at the Times on Monday, and it was amazing. How could I have done that on my own, unless I tried to sneak in past the security? But I wouldn't recommend trying to do that. But no, so does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Good.
Yeah, hi. Earlier you guys were talking about some really amazing sounding elective courses. And I was wondering, first, is there a cap on how many you can take? And if not, what's a realistic workload to put into that?
I took the skills course that I took, the audio skills. They took investigative skills, and I took audio skills because I knew I wasn't going to take the radio workshop seminar. It was on a Saturday, and I decided that it was worth doing. We don't really take breaks. Once you're here, you sort of don't take breaks, like weekends, just to relax. You're kind of always doing something. But saying that, I don't think you should take on too much, because you definitely have the opportunity. There's so much opportunity here that you can overload yourself. But I feel like, not just the career services people, but everybody, like deans, everyone are really supportive, and they, you know, they kind of warn you, like, look, this is how much you have to do. Make sure you don't take on too much and balance your workload. I don't know what the cap is like.
I think it's just one investigative
You just take
skills
one
class in
skills,
general.
yeah.
But it really it feels like enough. Especially, I mean, if you're putting the time that you should be putting into your stories, you're never idle. And you have so many lectures to go to, so many talks, so many events, that's also part of the learning experience, and that's another chance to interact with amazing minds. So it's not necessarily just in a classroom where you're doing this stuff. And I mean, professors will indulge special requests sometimes. For example, Mark Hansen, we pestered him enough that he finally relented and decided to set up a Saturday workshop for Python, which is for coding. And he did, I think, like 4 Saturdays of that after we insisted. So there's a little wiggle room with that kind of stuff.
Great, thanks.
Yeah.
Hi. I just have a question about reporting. Do you find that there's a sense of like a balance between being in the classroom and then being out in the field reporting with that reporting class? Yeah. Like how do you find that you learn more by it? What I'm asking is there enough time dedicated just to being out there?
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I think my reporting professor Paula Span's so amazing. She's also the best reporting professor you can get. And she was really good about when we're in the class, you know, I'm going to prepare you for when I put you out on the street to report. And we did, we called her Sergeant Span because we did all these timed drills, you know, deadline drills, which were so valuable, so helpful. And yeah, and there's a good, that's the thing that's so great about this place is that you're not just, you know, in a classroom, in a lecture. It's a good balance of having that and going out and actually reporting and getting that experience as well, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think you spend so much time outside reporting. I remember even like last semester, like I'd be on the subway at like 6 in the morning going to the South Bronx, and I'd have all like my camera equipment, and then I'd see like, another Columbia Jschool student going the opposite direction, like, of course, you know. And you see them all over the place, and we really are all over the place, all over the city, and it's a really great place to do journalism.
Yeah. And you can recognize us because the equipment has a blue sticker, so you know who's with you. I mean, if your concern is that you won't have enough time outside walking the streets, don't worry about it. It's built into the schedule. I mean, I remember standing on a subway platform at 10 o'clock in the morning when it was -11 in the Bronx in January and being like, why can't I be in class right now? So it shouldn't be an issue.
Thank you.
Let's go.
I think you were in line first. So you guys have talked a lot about how you've grown as journalists and what you've learned as journalists, but I was wondering, on a more personal level, how do you think that this has shaped you as a person? How have you grown? Sorry if that's a personal question, but...
You know what? It's taught me personally to be really just, I mean, I came in here determined to do well, but it's taught me to really be relentless, not just in pursuit of the truth and this, you know, getting a story or what it is, but just, you know, because you face a lot of challenges. You know, doors get shut in your face, even if you're like, I'm a Columbia Jschool student. You know, that works sometimes it doesn't. So, and you have to, it pushes you to really fight for what you want, what you need, to, you know, get your story out. And And I don't know, I guess it's just sort of personally, it's taught me to be courageous, more courageous and brave, relentless. And because you interview so many people, and gosh, some of the stories that people have shared with me, it's just like, I don't think about it too much because it's like really heavy stuff, and you just, that changes you too, because people trust you with their experiences, and that shapes who you are as well. I'm not really articulating how, but it just does.
Thank you. Thank you. We have 2 other people who have questions. We're going to take those very quickly because the film group is waiting to get in here.
Oh.
So how about you over here? Your question, you've been waiting patiently. Thank you.
My question is a little bit more specific for specialties, like, for example, a documentary program. Are you able to do hybrid projects, not just documentary, which I love and want to do, but are you able to do long-form written pieces as well as photography or radio? Do you feel like you've been able to get your hands messy in all of the media of journalism?
So those are the 2 things that I really love. One is documentary, the other one is long form.
Right.
And I've gotten to do both. I mean, even so I was in India a few weeks ago for this class, and one of the stories, and I just brought a camera with me. I did a lot of video there. But then one of the video stories I did, I actually thought, this could actually be a really great written piece. And so now I'm working on doing it kind of both. And I mean, you can do that with almost any project you do, and it's totally welcomed as well.
So you're able to do projects in written media as well?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Great.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
So were you able to maintain like skills or interests that might be outside of the course offerings in the Jschool? So like, for example, I have language skills that I'd like to maintain while I'm here. Were you able to take advantage of other resources at Columbia to do that?
I know of people who have. I haven't personally done it, but one of the I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but one of the wonderful things about journalism is that you can really explore your interests by pitching stories that interest you. So you can explore your various interests in that way. But I haven't personally sought out anything outside of the Jschool.
I think what students find is that they are not able to take language courses while they're here because their schedules are so full in so many other ways. There are, however, groups who have gotten together. There was a group a year ago that was really interested in Chinese. They met together, Sunday mornings to just have a chat group, for example. So it is possible to do those things. You have to find out where to fit it in. We're going to stop right now. I want to thank all of you very, very much. As I said, the film series will be here tonight. We'll meet across the street at Bernheim and Schwartz. Everybody is invited to the Lion's Head after 8:30. And we will all see you at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, breakfast at 8 for those who would like. And thank you very much for coming.